Hello, hello. So I want to talk today about something pretty serious. And you may see the comment why I'm so passionate about feeding kids healthy. And this is something that's just been very important to me. I've worked very hard to make sure that my kids have some balance in their lives. I definitely have talked to them about healthy food their whole lives. And I have gone through some knock down, drag out fights with them over food. And so it wasn't easy. Don't get me wrong. This was not easy. And my kids don't eat perfectly still. However, they will eat fruits and vegetables. They will eat whatever I put in front of them. I never, ever said, I'm going to make a separate dinner for my kids. We made dinner, and that was dinner. And if you don't want to eat it, that was perfectly fine. But you're not getting anything else. And so, I have many, many friends over the years who would say, but I don't want my kids to go to bed hungry. And I went, my kids went to bed hungry all the time. They're fine. And if you think about other people in other countries, and they don't always have food. And those kids go to bed hungry all the time. So they are not going to be hurt by going to bed hungry, trust me. But that's not the point of what I want to talk about today. Because what I really want to talk about is why it was worth that to me. Why that fight was worth it. And this kind of hit me when I was gone this weekend and I was at the Beachbody convention, and I had already started working on a path of, my plans are to create groups for moms and or dads to be in, to learn about healthy eating. And my whole goal has always been, if I can help mom is going to turn the trajectory for the family, right? So every time I have a client, every person that I reached out to offer invitations to my group, it was never just to help them. It was to help them, but it was to help everyone in their family. And part of that has been well shown in my family. My husband in particular works out every day now, is truly passionate about healthy eating and the benefits of it for our whole family. I can remember even at one point when Frankie was early teenager, and she would go to this one friend's house all the time. And I started realizing she was always going at dinner time. So I finally had to call that mother and just say, you know what? I think my kid is coming to your house to eat your food. So I just want you to know that before she comes, I am feeding her dinner. Do not feel like you need to give her dinner. If your daughter is eating something and you want to offer to it, fine, whatever, that's up to you. But I just want you to know I'm not sending my kid over there at dinner time hungry. She will have eaten her dinner. And she was totally understanding, and we got through that. And now my daughter writes grocery lists on asking for fruits and vegetables and nuts, and because she wants to eat healthy, because she has seen the difference in how it makes her feel. Because when she got her driver's license, she went to Sonic every day for a month or two, and she saw the difference in her skin. She got bloated. She definitely understands the necessity of healthy eating. But again, that I digress. That is not the subject of what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about why it's so passionate for me. And this is a little bit vulnerable and a little bit uncomfortable. But I realized while I was on this trip that when, not everyone knows this, but I had a daughter before Frankie was born. And she was born, her name is Mackenzie, and she was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck, and she wasn't breathing. And they resuscitated her, and she was then helicoptered to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore because they couldn't stabilize her. And what we found out was that she had lost enough oxygen that it created bleeding in her brain, and there was nothing they could do. So she lived 3 days, and it changed my life. I mean, obviously, I'd lost a daughter. I'd had a daughter. It was the first time in my life that I felt something truly bad had happened to me. And so because of that, that created a tremendous amount of fear. I mean, fear of everything, like panic attacks, anxiety attacks, fear of flying, fear of, when I was in the car and, I hold on. I mean, I was just terrified of everything. And 5 months later, I was pregnant with Frankie. And I went through that entire pregnancy in fear, just tremendous fear. And when Frankie was born, I was afraid something was going to happen to her. And every time I envisioned something happening to her, sometimes things would happen, and so it just created this spiral, this downward spiral of fear and anxiety, and just realizing I wasn't in control. And that's what it really came down to. And so that loss of control created someone who tried desperately to control everything. And so when my kids were born, when Frankie and Foster were born, I was so afraid of anything ever happening to them. And I used to have visions of bad things happening to them. And I would have, panic attacks at night, and I would wake up every hour and go check on them. And it was just this horrible place to be. And so one of the consequences of that was that I was fearful to the point where I was willing to fight to make sure my kids ate healthy food. I didn't really know what healthy food necessarily looked like because I had not lived a healthy life. But I was determined that my children would eat well. And so I was willing to put up the fight. I had passion for that. And, that didn't occur to me till this weekend. And so I thought, what can I do to help other people understand where to find their passion, to have the strength to go through the fight? And so when I do what I do, I know what everybody sees is, sweaty selfies and, a shake that I sell, and, food that I cook, and they, some people, they may roll their eyes, or they may think it's silly, or they may think it's too expensive, or it's dumb, or whatever. I just wanted to share that I do it because I want other people to save their kids. And because I know what it feels like to lose one. And I promise you, I never want anyone to ever feel that. And I look at kids these days and I see what they eat. And I was on medication for acid reflux at 27 years old because of the choices that I made. And so I do what I do because I want to help people. And I chose the company I chose because I did my research. I didn't just pick something and say, I want to sell this. I sell this because I looked and found what was the best. And when I went to this summit or conference this weekend, and Beachbody, this company that I've chose to work for 2 years now, came out with a way to help get more nutrition to kids. and they came out with a workout program that is for parents to do with their children. I just sat in that audience and cried. And I realized that was my purpose. And that was why I do this. That was what God laid on my heart and how He used my pain to help others. So I just wanted to share that today because I hope that it will maybe encourage someone else to dig deep and find their passion. What is their passion and why do they have it? And why do they do what they do every day and push through the people rolling their eyes and telling you it's stupid or laughing at what you're doing? But there is a reason and there is a passion and there is a desire behind what I do. And I hope that I'm able to inspire someone else to stop. Hear my dogs. Speaking of kids, they're like toddlers when you get on the telephone. But to inspire someone else to change how they're eating their family is just, that's a big win for me. That's a victory for me. And I want people to know that if I was on acid reflux medication at the age of 27, what kids are eating now is so much worse than what it was when I was a kid. And the amount of sugar and toxins in their bodies is so much worse than it was when we were kids. If I was on medication at 27, how old are they going to be? And let's start changing things slowly at a time. Let's create a movement and let's help save our kids. I am going to do a group that is all about fit families. I'm going to call it Faithfully Fit Family. And if you know anybody who you'd like to share that with, please do reach out to me. I'll send you some information to send to them. And it's going to be all about learning how to read labels, learning what is actually healthy and what isn't, even if it's in a healthy wrapper. And helping encourage you and your family to exercise together, to understand that being healthy is part of being a family. So just like every once in a while going out for ice cream. Have a very blessed day, guys. Thank you for watching, and may we work together and create a movement that will save our children from the medications, the autoimmune diseases, and the digestive illnesses that we are living with now. Bye, guys.